What if I told you that everything we call progress might be a distraction? That evolution, technological, social, even intellectual, might not be a necessity, but a choice we never truly questioned. We assume that moving forward is always good, that becoming more advanced automatically makes us better. But what if it doesn't? What if a human living quietly in a forest, cutting wood, watching the sky, feeling peace is not behind us, but simply standing somewhere else? We dream of interstellar travel, artificial intelligence, civilizations that will exist long after we no longer exist. But pause for a moment and ask yourself something uncomfortable. Why should you care? You will not be there. That future will not remember you. A world without you has no personal meaning to you.
What did you find,
So,
John?
why do we keep pushing forward? Is it hope, fear, or are we running from silence, from meaninglessness, from ourselves? Today, I don't want to talk about technology. I don't want to talk about the future. I want to ask a simpler, more dangerous question. Is it better to evolve or not to evolve at all? I want to start with a thought that has stayed with me for years. I don't remember the exact moment it first appeared in my mind. It is slowly formed, almost silently, while observing the world. The idea is simple, almost naive, yet disturbing. What if nature created humans out of guilt? When you look at nature closely, not romantically, not from a distance, you see constant violence. Existence itself seems to depend on destruction. In the struggle to survive, the strong eliminate the weak without hesitation. Predators hunt prey. Species compete, dominate, replace, and disappear. This is not an exception, it is the rule. And sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes it is not strength eliminating weakness, it is power eliminating innocence. If we accept that this cruelty is the fundamental condition of life in this universe, then a question naturally emerges: why humans? Why create a species capable of empathy, reflection, moral conflict, guilt, compassion, and self doubt? Why introduce consciousness into a system that works perfectly well without it? At this point, a romantic idea enters my mind. Perhaps nature wanted to try something else. Perhaps it wanted to experiment with a form of existence that would not rely entirely on brutality.
It's amazing what some care and attention can
A
do.
being capable of questioning violence instead of simply executing it. There is a harsh truth we must face. No living being today can be worse than humans, but no living being can be better either. We carry the potential for absolute cruelty and absolute compassion at the same time. And as if that were not enough, we also carry another burden, the burden of meaningless. Our lives are short, painfully short. So, what does a highly developed feature really mean for us personally? Why should I care about interstellar travel, artificial superintelligence, or civilizations that will exist long after we no longer exist? Let's be honest for a moment. A quiet voice inside us says, it won't benefit me. And another voice answers, a world without me has no value to me. This is uncomfortable to admit, but deeply human. Now, let me take this one step further. Imagine that we are living in a simulation. Imagine that everything around us is artificial: the sky, the ground, other people. Nothing is fundamentally real. In such a world, does a good deed still matter? If I save a cat from a tree, but the cat is not real, the tree is not real, the ladder is not real, what exactly did I accomplish? Was it kindness or just a scripted action inside an illusion? And yet, something inside us resists calling it meaningless, because even in a simulation, the intention feels real, the impulse to help feels real, the moral movement inside us feels real. This is where things become interesting. I believe at a fundamental level, most people think the same way. We speak like philosophers, but we live like pragmatists. We praise wisdom, but we choose comfort. We talk about humanity, but we act for ourselves. And the world reflects this perfectly. The pragmatic world is already developing, faster, more efficient, more optimized every day. So, why should I sacrifice myself for progress? Why should I be the candle that burns so others may see? I think this way too, but there is a point where this logic breaks. Maybe progress is not a path forward. Maybe it is the thing we invented so we don't have to face the silence. A truly developed feature does not exist to serve us. It exists to teach us something. What it teaches is unsettling and liberating at the same time, that our limits may not actually exist. Now consider this carefully. Across cultures, religions, and philosophies, one idea keeps repeating in different forms, with different symbols, but with the same core. Reincarnation, cyclic universes, eternal return, consciousness looping through different forms, or even the idea that the universe itself restarts again and again, slightly different each time. None of these theories are proven, but their persistence is meaningful because, regardless of whether they are true, we keep moving forward with hope. We do not know who we really are. We do not know how consciousness works. We do not know whether this is our first life or one of many. And yet we continue. Why? Because to exist, even briefly, is better than not existing at all. At its core, everything comes back to a single question: to be or not to be. Perhaps the future represents a quiet hope that we have always existed in some form and that we'll never truly disappear. Maybe this belief, conscious or unconscious, is what gives birth to civilizations. So, where does everything start to go wrong? The problem is not development itself. The problem is attachment.
Check. Check this out. The GPS says we can take this shortcut through the desert. It'll be an adventure.
Are you sure about this?
We cling obsessively to the system we built. We confuse tools with truths. And slowly, almost without noticing, what we learn replaces reality itself.
Wow,
Our maps become more important than the territory. At some point, reality stops being something we experience and becomes something we simulate. And once that happens, we no longer use systems to survive meaninglessness. We use systems to avoid confronting it. We distract ourselves with progress, with information, with constant motion. So, what should we do? I don't think the answer is rejection. And I don't think the answer is blind acceptance either. I think the answer is flexibility. As Einstein once said, breaking prejudices is harder than breaking the atom because prejudices feel like truth. They feel like identity. Flexibility is dangerous. It requires admitting that we might be wrong, that our values may be temporary, that our direction may need adjustment. But flexibility is also the only door forward. So let me ask the central question plainly. Do we really have to evolve? Is the happiness of woodcutter's family living quietly in a forest inferior to the happiness of someone traveling between the stars? Which life is more valuable? Can the peace of a forester while looking at the night sky equal the happiness of someone living inside a highly advanced civilization? Or are we confusing complexity with fulfillment? Because deep down, we know something uncomfortable. This entire journey may have no ultimate meaning. We will disappear, just like those before us, and the universe will remain silent. So, what kind of peace can there be in eternal existence when individuality dissolves into infinity? If that is the case, perhaps the goal was never endless expansion outward. Perhaps the journey was always meant to return inward, to evolve, to learn, to explore,
What did you find, John?
and then to come back to oneself, without exaggeration, without claiming absolute knowledge, without the need to control everything, to know everything by knowing nothing.